Fear is something every one of us encounters. It's something that stands between where we are and where we want to be. And let me be clear, fear is not your enemy. Fear is not a sign that you should turn back. It's a signal. It's a signal that you're on the brink of a breakthrough, about to step into something new, something bigger. Understand that it's normal. Fear is a part of the human experience. It's a tool that the mind uses to keep us safe, but sometimes it also keeps us small. You see, fear is not something that should hold us back. It's something we need to embrace. You need to change your perspective on fear. Fear signals that you're growing. Think about it. Every time you push past that uncomfortable feeling, you step into your next level. That fear you're feeling, it's your mind's way of saying, you're about to break through the limits you've placed on yourself. The key is to understand that the discomfort you feel right now will be the foundation of your future success. Here's the secret. You don't need to wait for the fear to subside before you act. Waiting for fear to go away is a fool's game. Fear will not disappear just because you wait long enough. The truth is, fear only dissipates when you take action. The more you act in spite of fear, the more you build the muscle of resilience, and resilience builds confidence. That's how you move forward in life. Every action you take in the face of fear is a victory that fortifies your confidence and makes the next challenge just a little bit easier. Understand this growth never happens inside your comfort zone. If you want to be extraordinary, if you want to achieve the impossible, you've got to step beyond your fears. And the beautiful part is, every time you do it, you're creating new opportunities for yourself. You're opening doors that were previously locked because your fear kept you from even trying. What do you do when fear shows up? You act anyway. Don't let fear paralyze you. Force yourself to take the first step. The action you take in the face of fear will propel you forward in ways that words or thoughts never could. Take the action and let your courage fuel your progress. Because every time you overcome fear, you're not just moving closer to your goals. You're becoming the person capable of achieving them. Fear is something that all of us experience, no matter who we are or where we come from. It's a natural part of life, a primal instinct that has kept humans alive for centuries. However, we often misunderstand fear. We see it as something that stands in our way, something to be avoided, something that limits us. In reality, fear is neither an enemy nor an obstacle. It is simply a signal, a warning sign, an emotional response telling us that we are stepping into new territory. Fear, in fact, is a clear indication that we are pushing the boundaries of what we know and that we are on the brink of growth. We all feel fear when we face new challenges, whether it's starting a new job, taking on a big project, or making a life-changing decision. Fear arises when we are about to stretch ourselves beyond our current limits. This fear is not necessarily a negative force. It's just the body's natural reaction to uncertainty. Fear's primary job is to protect us. It tells us that there might be danger ahead, that we could fail, that we could be hurt. But fear's warnings are not always accurate. Sometimes what we fear most is not danger, but simply discomfort or the unknown. And discomfort is exactly where growth happens. It is where true transformation occurs. It's important to recognize that it doesn't define us. Fear is a part of the process, not the end. We must learn to see fear not as something to avoid, but as a guide to the areas in our lives where we need to push through. In fact, fear is an important tool in our personal development. It's a signal that we are about to take a step into something bigger, something that will change our life for the better. It's at this very point, when we feel the grip of fear, that we have the opportunity to make a decision that will shape our future. We will always stay in the same place. Fear often tells us that we are not capable, that we should stay within our comfort zone. But the truth is that staying within our comfort zone will never lead to growth. Comfort zones are safe, but they are also limiting. To unlock our true potential, we must step outside the comfort zone and face fear head on. We must realize that the very discomfort we feel when we face something new is actually a sign that we are on the right path. Action is the key to overcoming fear. If we wait for fear to disappear before taking action, we may wait forever. Fear doesn't vanish on its own. It can only be overcome by taking the first step. The act of moving forward despite fear is what gradually diminishes its power over us. The more we act, the more we build our confidence and resilience. Every time we push through fear, we prove to ourselves that we are capable of handling challenges. We build the muscle of courage, which makes future challenges seem less daunting. We also open up new opportunities. Fear often comes with a sense of uncertainty, and uncertainty is something that many people try to avoid. However, it is in this uncertainty that the most exciting and rewarding opportunities lie. By taking action, we open doors to new experiences, new connections, and new achievements that would have been closed to us if we had allowed fear to keep us stuck. The most successful people in the world are not those who never feel fear, But those who feel the fear and take action anyway, they understand that fear is just a natural part of the process, a sign that they are stepping into something bigger than themselves. They embrace fear because they know that on the other side of it lies growth, success, and personal transformation. Fear is also an essential part of becoming resilient. Every time we push through fear, we prove to ourselves that we are capable of handling adversity. This resilience is what builds our confidence and empowers us to take on even bigger challenges in the future. The more we face our fears, the less power they have over us. Over time, we become stronger, more capable, and more comfortable with discomfort. We learn to trust ourselves and our ability to navigate difficult situations. We must stop letting fear control our lives. We must recognize that fear is not a signal to stop, but a signal to move forward. Every time we push through fear, we are not only overcoming a challenge, we are becoming stronger versions of ourselves. So the next time fear shows up, don't back down. Use it as a signal to take action, to step outside your comfort zone, and to unlock the next level of your potential. Fear is often misunderstood. Many people view it as a force that stops us in our tracks, an obstacle that prevents us from reaching our goals. However, fear can actually be one of the most valuable tools in our personal growth journey if we learn to reframe it. Rather than seeing fear as something to avoid or something that paralyzes us, we need to see it as a signal that we are approaching a threshold of transformation. When we encounter fear, it's not necessarily because we are in danger, but because we are on the verge of stepping into something bigger, something that will expand our potential. And it is always present when we are about to take on something new or challenging. It shows up when we are making a big decision, whether that's launching a business, changing careers, or taking a personal leap of faith. This is because fear is tied to the unknown. Our brains are wired to seek safety and predictability, which is why unfamiliar situations trigger fear. However, fear is not an enemy, it's a natural and necessary part of growth. The key to moving forward in life is not avoiding fear, but recognizing it for what it is, a sign that we are moving in the right direction. We need to recognize that fear doesn't necessarily mean danger. It means we are about to step outside our comfort zones. Comfort zones are safe, but they are also limiting. As long as we remain in our comfort zone, we remain static. Our growth is stunted and our potential is constrained. True growth always happens when we push the boundaries of what we know. When we face fear, we are being called to expand, to explore new possibilities, and to experience new challenges that will ultimately lead to our transformation. It's important to understand that growth is uncomfortable, and discomfort is the precursor to success. Fear also serves as a form of resistance. Whenever we try to achieve something meaningful or make a significant change, resistance in the form of fear will inevitably arise. This resistance is often mistaken for a sign that we should stop. In reality, it's a sign that we are doing something important. We can learn to interpret fear as a reminder that we are moving in the right direction. Fear shows up when we are about to break through to something bigger than ourselves. Whether that's a personal achievement or a transformation in our careers or relationships, it's often the mind's way of warning us that we might fail, that we might not be capable, or that we might not succeed. However, it's essential to realize that fear does not predict the future. It's simply an emotional reaction to the unknown. Our thoughts and emotions, including fear, don't have to define our actions. Fear can be present without dictating what we do. The decision to move forward or stay stuck lies entirely in our hands. Rather than allowing fear to control us, we must take control of our response to it. One of the most powerful things we can do when faced with fear is to take action in spite of it. Action is the antidote to fear. The longer we wait to take action, the more fear grows. The more we avoid situations that trigger fear, the stronger the fear becomes. On the other hand, when we act, we diminish the power that fear has over us. By consistently taking small steps toward the feared situation, we gradually reduce its grip and gain confidence. Action doesn't mean waiting until fear completely disappears. It means pushing through fear even if it's uncomfortable and continuing to move forward despite the uncertainty. The more we take action in the face of fear, the more we realize that the consequences we fear are often not as bad as we imagined. The anticipation of fear is usually much worse than the reality of the situation. When we step into the unknown, we learn that we are far more capable than we thought. This understanding gives us the courage to continue pushing through fear the next time it arises. It's also important to note that fear is not something that magically disappears with time. Fear will continue to show up as we encounter new challenges in life. However, the more we practice facing our fears, the easier it becomes. Over time, we become more resilient and more comfortable with discomfort. Fear no longer has the same power to paralyze us. In fact, it becomes a signal that we are on the verge of something extraordinary. How do we embrace fear and use it to propel us forward? We must first acknowledge that fear is natural and that it's not a sign to stop. We must shift our mindset to see fear as an invitation to grow rather than a roadblock. Then we must take action even when we don't feel ready. As we take action, we begin to build momentum and confidence, proving to ourselves that we are capable of handling whatever comes our way. Over time, fear loses its hold over us, and we begin to thrive in the very situations that once seemed overwhelming. One of the most powerful realizations we can have is that the only way to conquer fear is through action. Many people believe that in order to overcome fear, they need to wait for it to dissipate or hope for the courage to magically appear. However, the truth is that fear won't just disappear on its own. It's something that requires active engagement, not avoidance. The longer we wait for fear to leave, the more it holds us back. Fear grows in the absence of action. It's like a dark cloud that gets bigger the longer you avoid it. But the moment you take action, you begin to break down that cloud and let the light of progress and success shine through. Taking action is the antidote to fear. It's easy to think that once we start facing our fears, everything will be smooth sailing, but that's not always the case. Fear can still linger in the background, but when we take steps toward what frightens us, we build momentum. Every time we act, we weaken the hold that fear has on us. The simple act of moving forward, even if it's just a small step, begins to create a sense of control and power. When we act, we prove to ourselves that we are capable, regardless of the fear that might be present. This sense of achievement fuels further action, creating a positive cycle that ultimately leads to greater confidence and success. It's also important to recognize that waiting for fear to disappear can actually cause more harm than good. When we wait, we stall our progress. We give fear the power to dictate our lives, leaving us stuck in the same place. Fear doesn't make the decision to move forward for us. We must take that responsibility. The more we delay, the more we reinforce the idea that fear is something that should control our actions. However, the moment we decide to act in the face of fear, we break that cycle and take back control of our lives. Acting despite fear is a declaration of independence from the hold that fear has over us. It's a powerful statement that we won't be ruled by our emotions or limited by our anxieties. We choose to move forward. Action not only conquers fear, but it also transforms the way we view fear itself. The more we take action, the more we see that fear is not the barrier we once thought it was. Often, the things we fear the most are not as dangerous as our minds make them out to be. Fear tends to amplify the worst-case scenario, convincing us that the risks are greater than they actually are. But as we act, we realize that the fear we felt was not as crippling as we anticipated. In fact, many times, the fear fades as soon as we start taking steps in the direction of our goals. It's like confronting a shadow that disappears when you turn on the light. The more we take action, the more we expose the illusion of fear, and the more we realize that we have the power to overcome it. Every time we push through fear and take action, we build resilience. Resilience is the ability to recover quickly from difficulties and challenges. It's a muscle that gets stronger with use. The more we face our fears, the more we learn how to handle uncertainty and adversity. Each time we act despite our fear, we are training ourselves to become stronger, more adaptable, and more capable of handling future challenges. Resilience is not about avoiding fear, but about embracing it and using it to our advantage. With each challenge we face, we grow more accustomed to the discomfort that fear brings, and with each success, we reinforce our belief that we can handle whatever comes our way. There will always be moments of fear, but the key is not to let those moments paralyze us. Instead of waiting for fear to go away, we must act in spite of it. The more we act, the more we push ourselves beyond our comfort zones and grow into the person we are meant to be. Fear becomes less of an obstacle and more of a guide, showing us where we need to grow and what we need to face. As we take action, we begin to see that fear is not something to be feared, but something to be understood and used as a stepping stone toward greater things. Even in the face of fear, we build a habit of courage. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to move forward despite it. Every small action we take in the face of fear builds our courage, making it easier to take larger steps in the future. Over time, fear loses its power, and we begin to see it as a signal to act, not a reason to retreat. As we embrace fear and take consistent action, we not only overcome fear, but become stronger, more resilient, and more capable of achieving our goals. Fear, once a formidable barrier, transforms into a tool for growth and progress, showing us where we need to push through and what we need to conquer next. Action is the key that unlocks our potential. It's through action that we break free from the grip of fear and move closer to our dreams. The more we act, the more we realize that fear is just a temporary feeling, and it's something we can push through. The journey towards success is not about waiting for fear to disappear, but about taking each step despite it, knowing that every action we take brings us closer to the life we want to create. So remember, fear does not control your future. Your actions do. Growth is something that cannot happen inside the boundaries of our comfort zones. Comfort zones are where we feel safe, secure, and in control. They are familiar spaces where things feel predictable and the potential for failure or discomfort is minimized. However, the unfortunate reality is that staying in our comfort zones often keeps us from reaching our full potential. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that safety equals success, but the truth is, success rarely lies within the confines of what feels comfortable. To truly grow, we need to step outside of these safe spaces and embrace the discomfort that comes with new challenges, to venture into the unknown, and to face the uncertainty that comes with trying something new. It's easy to stay in the familiar, but when we do, we're not challenging ourselves or pushing our limits. When we step outside our comfort zones, we open ourselves to new opportunities, new experiences, and new possibilities that we could never have encountered if we had stayed in the safe space. Stepping into the unknown is not easy. It's often filled with anxiety, fear, and uncertainty. But it's only by stepping into those uncomfortable situations that we experience true personal growth. We are confronted with a sense of vulnerability. We're not sure what's ahead, and that uncertainty can be intimidating. But it's through this vulnerability that we learn the most. Growth happens when we face our fears and challenge ourselves to do things we've never done before. It's when we feel the discomfort of the unknown that we begin to discover new strengths, new skills, and new facets of ourselves that we never knew existed. In fact, it's the discomfort itself that creates the space for growth. Without it, there's no drive to push further, no motivation to improve, and no reason to evolve. Stepping outside of our comfort zones also forces us to develop new skills and adopt new mindsets. We can't grow if we keep doing the same things over and over again. When we challenge ourselves to take on new experiences, we inevitably learn something new, whether it's a practical skill or a shift in perspective. By pushing ourselves to try new things, we begin to expand our capabilities. We build resilience by proving to ourselves that we can handle challenges and overcome obstacles. The more we step outside of our comfort zones, the more we realize that we are capable of more than we originally thought. We start to develop confidence in our ability to adapt, to learn, and to navigate the unknown. One of the most powerful aspects of growth outside of the comfort zone is the ability to gain new perspectives. When we stay in our comfort zones, we limit our understanding of the world. Our view of life becomes narrow because we're only experiencing things that are familiar. But when we step outside of what's comfortable, we're exposed to new environments, new people, and new ways of thinking. This broadens our horizons and allows us to see the world in a much deeper way. We become more open-minded and more receptive to change, which is essential for continued growth and success. When we're comfortable, there's little motivation to change. We become complacent, and complacency is the enemy of progress. Without discomfort, there's no urgency to improve. It's easy to stay stuck in a routine, but routines can quickly turn into ruts. Growth requires us to break free from these routines, to push ourselves into the unknown, and to face the challenges that lie outside our comfort zones. By doing so, we develop the courage, skills, and mindset necessary to achieve the extraordinary. It's not just personal growth that occurs when we step outside of our comfort zones. It's also the potential for new opportunities. The moment we push ourselves into new environments or new experiences, we expose ourselves to possibilities that we may have never imagined. These possibilities can lead to exciting opportunities, whether it's a new career path, a personal breakthrough, or a new connection with someone who has a similar vision. The key to seizing opportunities is to first step outside of the familiar and embrace the unknown. This is not to say that it's easy to step out of our comfort zones. The fear of failure, the fear of making mistakes, and the fear of the unknown are real. But those fears are natural, and they are part of the process of growth. In fact, these fears serve as indicators that we are doing something important. They are signs that we are pushing beyond the boundaries of what we thought was possible. The more we embrace these fears, the more we become comfortable with discomfort, and the more we realize that we have the ability to grow through it. Growth is an ongoing process that requires continuous action. It's about constantly challenging yourself to go beyond what feels safe and easy. By stepping outside your comfort zone, you're saying yes to new experiences, to personal development, and to greater success. Growth happens when you stretch yourself, try new things, and push through the discomfort that comes with it. The more you do this, the more confident and capable you become. And before you know it, you'll realize that what once felt uncomfortable is now a part of your new comfort zone, and you'll be ready to take on the next challenge. Growth, therefore, is a continuous journey, one that requires you to always be willing to step into the unknown and embrace the discomfort that drives you forward. Resilience is one of the most powerful qualities we can develop in life, and it is something that comes through repeatedly facing and overcoming challenges. It's the ability to bounce back from setbacks, to stand up after being knocked down, and to continue moving forward no matter the obstacles in your path. Every time we push through adversity, we become more resilient. Resilience isn't about avoiding hardship or being impervious to pain. It's about developing the strength and mental fortitude to persist through difficult situations. Life will inevitably throw challenges our way, but it's how we respond to those challenges that determines our ability to grow and succeed. Resilience is built through experiences of hardship and struggle. When we face difficult situations, we often feel overwhelmed, discouraged, and uncertain. The natural human instinct is to retreat, to avoid discomfort, and to give in to the desire for ease. However, it is in these moments of struggle that we have the opportunity to strengthen our resilience. Each challenge, no matter how painful, is an opportunity to build the mental toughness needed to face future difficulties with more confidence. Over time, resilience becomes a skill, one that allows us to navigate life's challenges with greater composure, understanding, and adaptability. Developing resilience also means cultivating a growth mindset. It's not enough to just survive difficult situations, we need to learn from them. A growth mindset enables us to see failure not as an endpoint, but as a learning experience. When we fail, we don't see it as a reflection of our worth or ability. Instead, we view it as a chance to learn, adapt, and try again. This mindset transforms setbacks into stepping stones toward success. With each failure, we build the resilience to face the next challenge with a new perspective, better prepared, and with a greater understanding of ourselves and the world around us. This ability to learn and adapt is key to becoming not only resilient, but also successful in the long term. It's important to recognize that resilience doesn't mean always being strong and unshakable. It's not about never feeling fear, doubt, or sadness. Resilience is about acknowledging those emotions, accepting them, and still choosing to move forward. It's about allowing ourselves to feel the weight of hardship without being consumed by it. The most resilient people are not those who are unaffected by life's challenges, but those who, despite feeling fear or doubt, continue to take action. They understand that feeling vulnerable or overwhelmed is part of the process, but they don't allow those emotions to stop them from moving forward. They keep going even when it feels hard, and in doing so, they build the resilience needed to face future obstacles. Another critical aspect of resilience is the ability to stay connected to our purpose and goals. When we face setbacks, it can be easy to become disheartened and lose sight of why we started in the first place. However, resilience is deeply tied to our sense of purpose. It's the ability to hold on to our vision and keep moving toward it, even when the road gets tough. When we stay focused on our goals and remember why we're working so hard, we can tap into an inner strength that helps us power through the most difficult times. Resilience is not about avoiding pain or hardship, but about staying committed to the bigger picture, even when the immediate circumstances are challenging. Resilience is built through consistent effort and perseverance. It's not about one monumental moment where we overcome all our challenges at once. It's about the small, daily acts of persistence that accumulate over time. Every time we show up, despite the setbacks, we strengthen our resilience. This consistent effort doesn't have to be grand or dramatic. It can be as simple as taking one small step toward our goals each day, even when we don't feel like it. The key is not to give up, even when things are tough. Resilience isn't something we develop overnight. It's the result of continuous, deliberate effort. The more we persevere, the more we build the mental toughness needed to face even greater challenges in the future. Resilience is not an innate quality that we either have or don't have. It is something we can all develop and strengthen over time. It is the result of consistently pushing through adversity, learning from failure, and staying committed to our goals. The more resilient we become, the more capable we are of handling life's challenges with grace and confidence. Resilience doesn't mean we never struggle. It means that we have the strength to face challenges head on, learn from them, and keep going. It is through developing resilience that we become stronger, more adaptable, and ultimately more successful in both our personal and professional lives. Resilience is the key to turning obstacles into opportunities and setbacks into comebacks.